All right, everyone, welcome. My podcast, Bringing On, and tonight is a very special one because I got my good friend Dustin Pari. It's not the first podcast we do together, but tonight I just have the feeling it's going to be a special one, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, my man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. You know, it's always fun to talk because, like I said before, the podcast is not like a radio interview where you have to go through, like strict protocols of questions and, talking about your sponsors, whatever. It's just like two friends chatting over a cup of coffee and donuts, right?
Sounds good, buddy.
There's so many things to talk about, but I wanted to start a podcast and by giving a big shout out to on Twitter, Team Dustin Pari. Followers of yours, they follow you, brother. They're awesome people, and I really like them. And they're always there for you. They seem to be fans of yours and also friends of yours. So I really appreciate them. And they're like you, positive people. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, man, really good people. I'm very, very thankful for all my friends and fans out there. Really, just a great group of people, just trying to do things in the right way and. Just trying to uplift each other. That's what it's all about, man.
Exactly. You're right. You're right, brother. That's exactly what I think. It's about helping each other out. Like when we met 2 weeks ago at Salem, Salem Con, that's what we talked about, the positiveness of, in the work that you do and on Twitter, on social media, the way you are in person too. It's about positivity, and the world is full of drama and stuff like that, and not with you. That's the one thing I really appreciate about you the most is that you're a very positive person on social media. I know it's very easy to promote yourself on social media and to try to but for you, you're always trying to help people, and that's a great thing.
Well, that's it, man. I appreciate that. What you see is what you get with me, man. There's no false pretense there, bro.
Exactly, Dustin. It showed up pretty early, when you started out investigating with Ghost Hunters in season 1. We could see straight off the bat that you were a very cool, down-to-earth person. And, now you've matured. It's like over almost 10 years later.
Yeah, man, don't remind me.
Yeah.
Time is going by really fast.
Oh, my God, yeah. That's so true. That's the one thing you learn about this field. That it flies, and the first thing you grow up, and like you told me, when you see people, saying, "Hey, I grew up watching you."
Yeah, right. That's always a little like, "Oh, how long have I been on TV for?" Dang.
My goodness, yeah, it makes you feel like, oh my goodness, time flies, and that. I know we talked about it on the live podcast, but not everybody has seen it, that we did from Salem Con. But what I really appreciated from the 200 episode of Ghost Hunters was, to me, my favorite part was Dave Tango saying that, you're the guy that he looked up to the most in the field, and you're the one that really helped him along. And I knew it meant a lot to you, and it made the air, so that I was very happy about it. And tell me how you felt, when Dave said it, on the show, because it was totally, you could see it was coming straight from the heart, right?
Yeah, for sure. And Dave's always been a really, really great guy, a real special guy, and he's always been along real well. And I always get along with everybody out there pretty well. But when Dave come on, he was really new. He was new to the field and trying to figure things out. And he's just had such a nice way about him. I kind of feel like he's like my little brother, And I always try to look out for him. It was very nice to just take the kind of work that he did on the 200th episode. I was glad that you never know what they're going to put through or whatever. So it was really nice to see that. It was a nice moment between the two of us.
Exactly. And what I noticed also during all the lectures that you do at paranormal conventions, I've seen 3 years ago in Gettysburg, and I saw yours, 2 weeks ago in Salem, 3 weeks ago. Time flies, and was question and answers very. Like you said, they're unscripted. It's not as if you're coming out with with the same lecture all the time. No, you're shooting from the hip, and very, organically people, talk with you, feel comfortable talking to you, and the questions keep on coming, and it could have gone on for 3 hours, if it was for the 1 hour period that you had.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. I take all my lectures and all the appearances and all the conventions and everything very seriously. I really do. But I just don't believe in preparing too much for my lecture portions because, I've been doing this a very long time. I know, the field very well. I know the majority of things people want to ask questions about. So I try to get those things in and get those things in and get them out of the way early so that people have a chance to come up with more thoughtful questions and open up a chance for conversation between everybody, And I just want everybody to feel comfortable. Like, there's no pretense. There's no awkwardness. Like, let's just hang out and talk, and just explore, what each other has to say. I get as much out of doing my lectures as I hope the people who attend them do as well. I love to learn from people and talk to people and have the opportunity to speak with them about various topics. And if you go in there and you've got a script in your mind of everything you need to say and how you're going to say it, I feel like you're taking the moment out of it, and it comes across. Like, I've seen brilliant people do lectures, and it's just so dry. And the material is interesting, but the presentation is so textbook that it's just not fun to watch. So I think it's important to just keep it very, very spontaneous and very natural and just very honest.
Exactly. And the thing is about you is that you're very comfortable in front of people. And I just wanted to know, that's something I never asked you, but I've read your book. We're going to talk about it later on. But, knowing you, how did it come to you to be so comfortable talking in front of so many people? Is this something that came to you right easily like that, or is something that you learned through the years doing so many conventions? And but to me, you seem natural in front of people and very comfortable.
Yeah, man. It's not something I ever thought I was going to do. When I was in college, there was like a public speaking course that I had taken, but I never had any trouble with it. Like, it was always very easy for me. So it's just one of those things I'm thankful for. It just seems to become very natural to me. And like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with the approach to it. Just keeping a conversation honest is a lot easier than trying to memorize a script in your mind and try to hit all these points. I just go out there and have a good time. I want to entertain myself, damn it. I want to have fun.
Exactly. And, exactly, because with people, the thing is that, you also have that gift. People can read people very easily, and people can see that some people, sometimes at conventions, they're really out there, just like checking in. I have to be there. But you seem to be enjoying those conventions, and you seem to be enjoying talking to people. And it's not like a burden to you. You're happy to talk to everybody. And, I'm going to go because I did a podcast with Mark 2 days after SalemCon, and I just wanted to share something with my listeners and your listeners to just to tell them the kind of person you are, because talking about how much I respect you, you're my favorite guy in the paranormal field, and it's true. And the reason why I could maybe put out 20 reasons out there, but just an example was at SalemCon. Mark was the one who told me that. I didn't know. There was a woman, she bought your book and a picture of you. And she left it on the table, and then she left and came back a few minutes later, and it was gone, the picture in the book. So she came to Mark, have you seen my book? And whatever. So they started looking for it. And then Mark came to you and said, hey, brother, she might have to buy another book and another picture because she lost it. And you came to her and you gave it to her. You asked her what picture was it? We signed it back and gave it back to her. And you said, I don't want this to be what you remember from the event. I want you to remember the event as fun and genuine, and don't worry about it. And you gave her back the book and the picture. And, I stopped talking, and Mark was like, wow, that to me was, described you the most. This is Dustin Pari.
Well, thanks, man. I was nice of you to relay that story. That was nice of Mark up there at SalemCon to have told you that. It's just one of those things that, like I tried to explain, I didn't want to fault whoever took it, like maybe they took it by accident, maybe they took this person's stuff on purpose, who knows, but, maybe they just needed it more than they did, and it's nothing for me to try to make it up for somebody, and that, like I said, I want people who come to these things to have a good time. I want them to have a solid experience because somebody did something wrong or whatever. So for me to have to make it up to somebody, give them another book or a picture or whatever, that's not a big deal, man. It's life is bigger than those little things, these little material things.
You're right. I totally agree, but not a lot of people do this. It's the kind of things you can say, but to do it it's something totally different, because it just shows the kind of person you are, and you care about people, coming back from there, and having great experience, because it's moments like this that people remember, like from last year, with Sid Deshavi being such a genuine and cool guy, you come back and you're like, my God, I just, a lot of people told me during the event, they saw you and they felt like they've known you for years, during the VIP party, my good friend Richie Michelli was there, and it was kind of nervous, to go and talk to you. And I said, no worries, brother. You can go and talk to him. Yeah, I don't want to bother him. No, you won't bother him. This is what it's all about. This is the VIP party for the fans and the people in the paranormal field to be able to. It's I always call it the para family. I don't know if you've noticed, but I always tweet pictures of me and people from the field, and I'm not necessarily talking about paranormal unity, but I'm talking to the para family, because it's a small world, and when you start talking to people, everybody knows everybody. And and everybody considers everybody like family. This is a very small knit, very closely knit paranormal community, and it's filled with a lot of drama. But as long as there's going to be guys like you and John Zaffis and Brian Cano, we'll be okay.
Well, thanks, man. That's high praise indeed. Those are good guys we grouped with, so I appreciate that very much.
And, that's a great thing, at the event, to see John Zaffis and to hear his lecture. To me, it was a very good learning experience. And that's something, that I don't know if you've ever seen John's lecture. Probably. You've been to so many events.
We've done a bunch of them together over the years.
Oh, that's all. That's awesome, brother.
Yeah, I remember the first time I shared a stage with him, we were doing a small event. It was actually one of the first ones I ever did, actually. It was for Mark Tedlow with Ideal Event Management. We were doing them up here in New England. It was my first event. And Mark's like, oh, you're going to lecture with John. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, are you serious? I don't think I'm quite worthy to share the stage with John. But over the years, man, he's become a great mentor and friend. And we've done lectures, some big lectures together, like Penn State and everything else. And spoke to thousands of people. It's just amazing. He's a good dude. I've learned so much from him, and I have a really good time with him.
Oh, and you see John on television, or you see John in person. He's so, like you said, he can be crazy, can be totally.
Oh yeah, he's a dirty old man.
I remember, you saying that at Gettysburg about 3 years ago. Yeah, because he can be talking about, demonology. He can be talking about investigating, with his uncle and his aunt. And then all of a sudden you can totally throw you off your head with a joke, and that's what I love about him. But when it's time to investigate, There's no serious stuff, and that's what I appreciate about investigating with John too. There's a time for having fun. There's a time to talk, and then when you investigate and you do VP sessions, you have to be respectful, and you have to be quiet, and you have to do it in a professional way.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. It's all about being respectful and having a good time.
Exactly. And he said something during his lecture that brought me back about, having faith and, reading your book. And there was a good question. You've been probably asked that question so many times. Every podcast I have, and I ask people to go on Twitter and ask questions for anybody who's on my show. Always the question coming back is, what do you do to protect yourself during an investigation? Are you afraid to bring something negative back from an investigation? And the question was asked to Mr. Zaffis, and he came back and he said, you know what? Yes, it can happen. But you know what? I think that positive will always outweigh the negative. And that's the one thing I came back from Salem, and it's been sticking on my mind for those 2-3 weeks, and now I'm going to go investigate. That's something to keep in mind, right? Is this the same? Do you have the same thought process?
Yeah, man, I really feel like, this is what I always tell people, I really feel like if you're in a good place spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, that you're going to be okay. There's always a chance, and there's always a chance of running into, negative people in this world when you go out there. It doesn't mean you stay in your house because you're afraid of them, You got to go out there and let your light shine and be as positive as you can. And I've never, thankfully, I've never had any issues going out there and doing what I do. But I think a lot of it is you get what you put into it, I think if you go out there dwelling on negative things and asking negative things and asking for negative things, well, congratulations. Negative things happen. But if you go out there and you're in a good, positive mindset, you're trying to do the right thing, and you're being respectful, and you're being careful in how you act and your demeanor, I think that you really kind of mitigate the chances of anything bad coming your way.
But you struck a good point, because that's one of the things that I always say during investigations. If you go out there investigating like it's a police interrogation, like, why did you kill your mother? Like Lizzie Borden, why did you kill your parents?
There's no reason for that.
Exactly. But if you go out there talking about trying to, like you have a genuine conversation with somebody on the street, like being interested in knowing the story, what she liked, what kind of music, what kind of dress she would wear, she liked the color, in the living room, and stuff like that.
Don't be, like you said, don't want to like an interrogation, just be conversational. And I find, because I really like EVPs, I think EVPs get overlooked quite easily in terms of evidence. I think people don't really appreciate them as much as they should, but I really feel like if you ask intelligent and thought-provoking questions, you usually get very decent responses. If you do it in the right way. It doesn't mean you're always going to get something, but I think it's a much better way to go about doing things. That's
true. And we have a question from Bernita on Twitter, asking you, that you're a very inspiring guy and a very happy person. And how do you always stay so positive? And I know it's not always easy, brother. It's not always easy, but how do you manage to keep being positive and keep that attitude, day in, day out?
I just try to stay focused, man. It's easy to get. Like I tell people, it doesn't mean that my life's always wonderful. There's tough days too, but there's a lot of them. I just really try not to get caught up in big picture things. I just take things day at a time and moment at a time. Sometimes you're going to break it down even further. When things are really tough, it's like, okay, I think you're doing bad right now. It doesn't mean it's going to ruin my whole day. It doesn't mean it's going to ruin my whole life. I just need to get through this minute, and then, we'll see what happens after this. I don't even watch the damn weather, man. I don't let you know what's coming. I just take things day by day and minute by minute and see how it goes. And I just feel like if I go out there and I'm already negative and I'm worried about this and everything's horrible, then I've already defeated myself. And that's, at the end of the day, that's the only person I can really take away your smile and your happiness and your laughter is yourself. So if you allow it to happen, then shame on you for doing so. It's not easy for sure, I get that. But because of things not being easy, because of going through the struggle and fighting and finding growth and finding what's deep down inside you that makes you go on, that's what's important. If something's really important to you, you'll find a way to get through it. If it means that much, you'll have enough fight in you to get there.
It's true. And that's something else I wanted to talk about, brother, is your book. I bought it at SalemCon, and I read it in 2 days. It was, I'm a big reader, but, that was pretty quick. I just, I read it twice, actually. I read it the first time, and then I read it again. And now your book is all jungle, because I, instead of taking, something to, I just folded the pages, where I found the most interesting quotes, whatever. So your book is, I'm going to have to buy another one.
I give you one for free, brother. I appreciate the support.
And the book is called What's Next, and but it's also a story of from. I was very happy to, first of all, it starts from your childhood to where you're now, and about what's next, and it talks about your journey, finding faith. And I find it very interesting because, I've been in part of my life, not struggling, but I mean, struggling with my faith in the last few years. And it was very interesting to me to read this book. And it was very it brought back, the faith that I wouldn't say that I lost, but probably never really taught much, or I don't know. I was not, maybe sometimes you're ready. When you're ready, I read Shawn Michaels' books, and he was a born again Christian when he was about 40 years old, and he talks about his life before and after, and to me, it was a game changer. Your book kind of made me go through a journey of looking from within, and I really appreciate reading it. And one of the first things that really struck me was one part. Can I just read a little part of your book?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Okay, so on page 16, it says, this is not to say that we should act rationally and conduct conduct ourselves as fools, but it's to say you cannot reach for what you want if you're too afraid to lose what you have. And that's a great, incredible thing. And faith is that invisible, intangible thing that will get you from what's now to what's next in your life. And to me, that was a very important part of your book. It's faith will be the one thing that get you from what's now to what's next, and not being afraid to lose what you have. And that's so true. It can apply to everybody in every field.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I appreciate you reading that. I mean, that book really means a lot to me. I've written 2 paranormal books with Barry Fitzgerald, which I really enjoy doing, and I really respect the field, so I enjoy doing it. But putting this book out there was something very personal for me. Like you said, it talks a lot about where I came from and a lot about who I am. But it's done so all in a way of trying to, not that I've lived a perfect life by far, but by screwing up a lot, I've learned a lot of things. And so I'm trying to just pass that along to others. And I really hope that, from what I hear, I'm very thankful because I hear very good things about, people who've read the book and reviewed the book. So I'm hoping that it continues to help other people as well.
It really does, because and the way you wrote the book, going back to the airport, like in every chapter, was pretty cool, pretty funny, and that's another side of you that not everybody knows. You're such a positive guy on Twitter and Facebook, but you're also a very funny guy and very lighthearted, and you like to make jokes and make light of things, and like de-dramatize stuff, right?
yeah, man, for sure. I like to think I'm a funny son of a bitch. I enjoy a good joke, and I like having fun, and I like to try to, when I tell a story, I like it to get somewhere, but I like it to be comical along the way. I want it to teach people things, but I don't want it to be dry, and I just think it's important to be able to look at things and be able to laugh at them, because there's so many things in this life that if you don't laugh at, you're just going to go crazy.
You're right, and your T-shirt, is incredible. Smile, damn it.
Sometimes you got to be a little salty to get people's attention, but that's okay.
Exactly. For those who never watch your videos, Paranormal Rockstar, it was very funny. The one, with Eye of the Tiger on your car,
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, because in your book you talk about that journey, through your paranormal career. You're working as an anesthetist, and there's so many layers through the book. You're like, oh my God. First of all, when you finish reading the book, you have a feeling that you're 97 years old, brother.
Sometimes I feel that funny too.
Yeah, because you've done so many things, to film at the stadium, in Rhode Island, to working, you did so many things in your life. And I'm like, no way this guy can be 30 something. That's incredible.
I've always had at least 2 jobs, so I stay very, very busy.
Exactly, and something that I read on Twitter this week, I wanted to talk, I know we're jumping from one place to another, but that's what's fun about podcasts. Like, when you're having a beer with somebody, you don't follow a strict, line of questioning, so that's okay, I can live with that. And I read one of your tweets this week, and I was like, wow, okay, I put it on my favorites, and I have like a folder on my computer where I go to and read tweets of people that, tweets that inspire me. And one was, for those out there struggling, it's okay to struggle. Growth comes out of it. And that's what life is all about. And that to me was so true. It's okay to be, life is a struggle, right? Life is not always sunshine and rainbows and, having a beautiful day off, on the sunset with your girlfriend walking, on the beach. This is the, a small percentage of what life is all about. 90% of it is sleeping, eating, or working, right?
I like the eating part quite a bit. Sleeping I'm okay with. I seem to be really good at working, which is fine. I like more of the other things. I just kind of play my hands and stuff. But here's the reality of it, man. Like you said, those highlight real moments. I think this is part of the problem. Social media gives us an opportunity to present ourselves however we want, which is great. And some people, unfortunately, use the negative side of things, and other people use it to uplift other people. And some just use it to constantly promote like how wonderful everything is, which is fine. But what happens is some of the people that are just trying to get through life don't see it as that, and they see, how come my life isn't as good as this person's? This person always does this. They've got a girlfriend, boyfriend, family that loves them, and I don't have any of that. But the thing is this, when you're living your life, you're living the full, real story, the full game. But when you look online, you're just seeing somebody else's highlight reel, and you can't compare your reality to somebody else's highlight reel because you're going to lose. You know, and I mean, good for them if all these things are going wonderful for them, but I'm sure there's a lot of misery and nonsense mixed in there too, and that's fine. That's a human experience, and that's the great commonality that binds us all together here. And I think that we need to know it's great to have a day off. It's great to go for a walk on the beach with your significant other and have a nice adult beverage in a very responsible way and enjoy the evening. But there's a lot of joy to be had in some of the mundane things too. I had to go outside and water the lawn again. Well, that could be a real pain in the ass kind of task. Let's be honest. I just tweeted this the other night. I never saw myself as the kind of gent who would rush home from work so he could water his lawn, but I've actually found some joy in it. There's a little bit of zen moments out there. Dark out, like, sun setting, and the birds are just getting ready to go to bed, and the stars are coming around. I'm up there just with my little, I got the lawn up there, and I've got the nozzle and the water, and it's just very peaceful. It sounds crazy, but that's a nice way to unwind at the end of the day. Now, if I made that a task and a chore, then it would just be some more misery on top of, a long day at work. But no, I try to find like a little positivity in there. There's something from this I can take away that's joyful. And these moments in life, whether we're enjoying them or not, you're not going to get them back. So you might as well make the best of it while you got it.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more, because you see only, like you said, it's like seeing a paranormal TV show. You see 20 minutes of 2 or 3 nights of hundreds and hundreds of hours of investigation, and then people go investigate and they expect it to be like nonstop interactions. It can be boring at times, and that's the reason why not a lot of people do it for a long time. But that's the same thing with life. If I was to post my last 10 years, in a 1-hour TV show, it would be very interesting. It would. But if I was to post my life day to day, it would be the most boring thing in the world.
You're crazy, man. You know what? Everybody that's met you always has the kind of things to say about you. You're definitely a favorite amongst everyone, for sure.
Oh, thank you, brother. I wanted to say that what you said during your lecture, Salem, meant a lot. When you said that, you appreciate.
I pointed you out to the crowd. I want people to meet you. I mean, just, if you're not wandering around in the dark in a television show, doesn't mean that you're not somebody worth spending some time with. You're one of my favorite people that I've met over the road over the years. You're fantastic, man.
Well, that really means a lot to me, Dustin. And it's the same thing for me, because you meet a lot of people during those investigating. I've been lucky because one of my first investigations, I investigated with Tap's own team, with Ken DaCosta. And, Stephen Mills was there, Christine, Joe Chin was there. And that was a great learning experience because you learn from one of the top teams in the world and one very respectful team that really care about investigating the good way, not just about the equipment. It's about interacting and trying to help. And that was a big learning experience for me, not just for the investigation, but I mean for how to act on social media also. And sometimes, I always go like, before you say anything, just think twice. And it's the same thing before tweeting. If sometimes, is it really worth tweeting this stuff? No, it's negative, and it's just. And if there's something negative, maybe with somebody, how about doing it privately? How about a direct message? And the same way you answer people, when they ask for your help, and you answer on direct messages. And just because it's not for show, this is not, you're there to help people. So you do it very privately, and that's also something that I'm also doing right now, learning from you. Because the first time you talked to me, you answered me on a direct message, and I really appreciate it. I was like, wow, that's so cool. I've never seen it done before, and never seen it done, before and after, right? You're probably one of the only guys that do it. You get people tweeting to you, and then you answer them privately. And it means a lot because it means that you're tweeting to me, you're tweeting to Tammy, you're tweeting to, you're not tweeting to me, just to promote yourself. You know what I mean?
I absolutely love it. I mean, especially since I do a lot of the motivational work and speaking and everything, a lot of times people will come to me with things that, they might write something to me publicly, but there's a lot more to it going on. And I don't want them to feel uncomfortable if they need to, air out their dirty laundry out there for everybody to read. And, it's a private matter. So I think it's, the direct message is a nice way to be able to go about to contact somebody about you. Even if you're just doing a little bit of an uplifting word, it's not always for everybody. So, but sometimes through those interactions, I come up with some stuff that I think could be helpful to other people, and I'll put it out there generically later on, just as like a regular tweet for everybody to read, without tagging them in it. But I love Twitter, man. Twitter to me is the best. Like Facebook, my Twitter posts all my Facebook stuff for me, but I just love being on Twitter. I just think it's a nice, easy way for communication, and when things are going on globally, it's a great way to be informed about all these other things going on. So
I totally agree.
It's really, really cool.
I totally agree, because you follow the people, that have the same interest in you. Like, my followers are wrestling fans and paranormal people. Yeah. So, to me, when I read my feeds, it's always about stuff that I like. So that's what I love about Twitter. It's easy to, you don't have to, like you said, but it's also, a great way to communicate with people and treat everybody equally. And we have a question, not a question, but Jennifer Kelly says, by the way, thank you, Dustin, for a fun night at Penner's last week. And when are you coming back to Pennsylvania?
We've got some stuff going on in Pennsylvania, I think, coming up soon. It's hard to keep track of everything. Yeah. See, I know I have an event in Ohio in 2 weeks, and then I'm in Kentucky. But then we've got a convention or something going on down there. So yeah, there's stuff going on. I'll be there. I'm always in and out of Pennsylvania quite a bit.
Yeah, it's not that far from Rhode Island. It's about 5-6 hours, right? So
yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, just about 5.5 hours. It's not bad at all.
That's cool, and we have Tammy Miller on Twitter asking you about your first ghost hunt, and also John, one of good friends from New York, a great guy, John's World. If you don't follow Life with John on Twitter, you're missing out. Great guy, and John saying great podcast, and wondering when Dustin got interested in paranormal investigations and how he got the start, which is kind of the same question that Tammy had also about how did you react it when you first was asked first to do a paranormal investigation. So because people reading, I read the book, and I know, but for people never knew the beginning of Dustin Pari, the Investigator.
Yeah, man. For me personally, this started when I was a young kid. This started when I was just around 8 or 9 years old, with seeing a shadow figure and curious as to what it was. And once I was a teenager, 15, 16, when my buddies had a license, we started going out to the places you hear all these stories about, in your hometown and stuff, and check those things out. And I did that for a couple of years, and just kind of messed around with buddies of mine after work and everything. And they started bringing friends, and next thing I know, I'd get out of work and there'd be people hanging out in the parking lot waiting for me to take them places I didn't know who they were. But we'd go, we'd have fun, and not to always catch any paranormal activity. A lot of times just kind of scare each other or get scared by crazy locals. But it was fun. And then I was home one night watching TV, and I'd seen the Ghost Hunter show in the first half of the first season. I was like, I had no idea that these things, groups existed, that you could go into people's homes and help out and do all this stuff. So I was really, really intrigued, and I had met the guys. I met Jim and Grant at a Starbucks, which I don't promote. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy, but they wanted to meet at Starbucks, so they were calling the shots. So I went there and met up with everybody, and I told them where I was coming from, and kind of skills I thought I had, at least from a technical aspect. Because I had a degree in television and radio production, so I knew how to run all the DVR stuff and all that thing. They're nice enough to bring me on board, with the understanding that I would never be on the show. And I think, yeah, it's not a problem. I would like to be in people's homes and trying to help people out instead of being in empty buildings you're not supposed to be in, which I would tell people not to go into now for safety hazards and stuff like that. But the next thing I knew, a short period of time later, just within a month or two, and then I'd done some home cases, and next thing you know, I'm being asked to be on the show. And it took a crazy path from there. I'd always left on good terms, never, was asked to leave the group, never fought with anybody, just, left because I wanted to get married, and then went back and did GHI, and then left because my daughter was little and I wanted to be home, and now I'm back again. We just wrapped season 10 with 13 new episodes that are supposed to be starting this summer, and now we're out there filming season 11. So it's been a crazy ride. I never know what's next in my own life, but that's kind of the joy of it. I just keep reaching out in faith, knowing that things are going to work out in a good way, and so far so good.
Yeah, exactly. And during your lecture, talking about when you left GHI, was one night you were in a hotel room, I think with Rob D, and you told Rob D, when I've spent more time with you in the past few months than with my wife, then I know there's something wrong.
Yeah, we were driving back from Investigation. I was with Pari, and the sun was coming up, and I told him that I've seen too many sunrises and sunsets with you, Barry. And our relationship's starting to get strange.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I did a podcast with Rob D, people who see Rob D on TV, his new show Untold Australia, seems such like, he looks like a stern guy, but when you meet the guy, when you talk to the guy, he's the funniest guy ever. He's kind of like Joe Chin, so funny and so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And we spent about the half of the podcast, talking about he's Scott Grunwald kind of guy.
Yeah, no, he's wicked funny. And it's funny because, you watch the show and you think you know people, because you see them on there so often, and then you meet them in person. It's like, wait, you're like a completely different, and not that it's a bad thing, but there's just so much personality that gets. I think, a lot of times they want the shows to look scary and they want them to look this way or that way, and they want people to look brave and tough, and it's just like, no, we're just out here kind of clowning around and having fun,
Exactly, and I was surprised, because most of the time, people I do podcasts with, I've talked to them before, on Twitter or on Facebook, or I've met them. But Rob D, I didn't know what to expect, and when I called him, it was totally unexpected the way he was, and the way the podcast went. We talked for an hour and a half. It was very funny. I was like, that's the thing about people. First of all, never judge anybody by what you see on TV or what you. Always give people a chance to. You might be surprised, sometimes people will, and I always say, we have it easy because we're not, big stars. But when I think about people, who are, music superstars like Luke Bryan or Tom Brady, how can these people live with the critics and all the people, criticizing their every moves? I have a lot of respect for them to be able. I know it's the, that's the price you pay sometimes maybe to become a billionaire or whatever, but, that's incredible. The scrutiny they're under all the time, and I wouldn't be able to live that way. I don't know about you, brother, but I wouldn't be able to.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I get a good deal of scrutiny. I wish I had the billions. I think if I had the billions, it would make it a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, man, I don't let it ruffle me. It's a lot of times I feel like a lot of people that lash out in darkness and anger are people that have been hurt or are hurt, and they're people that don't know me. Obviously, not that I have a very high opinion or overinflated opinion of myself, but I think if anybody spent the time to get to know me, not that you have to like me and we have to be best friends, but I think you would at least know that I'm a respectful person and I'm going to do anything harmful or ill will towards someone. So when someone lashes out and sends me hate stuff, and I usually a lot of times I just, tell them that I'll pray for them, and sometimes that makes them angry, and then sometimes there's been some people that I became friendly with that, I responded to them in a positive way, and they weren't expecting it, and then, they start to talk to me, and then we end up becoming friends. We go to a convention, have a beer later, and, I never would have thought you were like this. It's cool, man. You see TV, you think one thing, you don't know everything, it's fine, but just don't lash out at people if you don't know them. Just take it easy. But like I said, a lot of people have been hurt, and you just need to you need to not return hate with hate, but show love and show understanding and show compassion.
Exactly, brother. In your book, this is on page 63, and the title of your book is called What's Next. And when you say what's next is not what was, but rather what will be. That's another part of the book, that's one of my favorite chapters, because that's true, it's, to me, what it meant was stop you can't move forward in life if you always look back. You have to look forward and move forward and stop looking back and always live in the past, because the past is gone. There's nothing we can do about it. But and tomorrow is tomorrow, right? But today is where we can build our tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, one of my favorite things that I try to put out there and that I try to remind people and to talk to people about is something that came to me just last year when I was doing a lecture. And I try to talk about things that people understand, and things people can relate to, and things that people can visualize in their own life. And there's somebody, this very nice woman, Jen, that runs Pari prints on Twitter. It's a new feed on there. And she just does this all out of her own time, the goodness of her heart, and puts my messages out there with some pictures and things, which is very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
She put one out just like yesterday, I think it was. It was one of my favorites. And I just said, your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror for a reason. And because it's where you're going is more important than where you have been. And I think that's something that people can understand. When you're driving down the road, you need to have your rearview mirror, because you do need to know what's going on behind you, and you need to see where you came from. But that is so small and in comparison to your windshield, which is exponentially bigger, because it's more important to remember that you're moving forward and that progress is being made and that you're going forward in life, and you need to be aware of what's coming up. Never forget those in your paths. Forgive those who have harmed you and wronged you. Love those that are still with you along the path. But always be ready for what's coming down the road, because it changes so fast and it can come to an end at any moment.
Exactly, brother. There's only 15 minutes left in the podcast. We have to take a 1-minute break. And everybody, following us, a lot of people on Twitter asking you questions. So we'll be back in a minute for the last 15 minutes of the podcast. So bear with us.